memory renegades. Gathering here under the auspices of the Council of Tomorrow, perhaps. Yes. Good dawning. Let me just give it to you straight here. As far as these surveys go, this one is going to be the most boring one yet. It's just very dry material. Just so you know what you're getting into, and I wouldn't be surprised if you said, F this. I mean, I might even say that. But this, for some reason, this segment primarily deals with buildings that are built a little bit later than I find interesting. You know, we're talking about the 40s. If you guys get upset with me, we went ahead and put these piles of bricks all around town so you can just, throw them through whatever window you want. There were so many of these sites that were not even online, that were a little bit later construction, that were military or, well, just straight up ugly, like this muff. There were a number of bridges. It ends with a tire factory. Just things that I find very different. Now, these are the remnants or the ruins of an old missile silo. Excellent artwork here, gentlemen. First class. It's like someone doing that Wizard of Oz guy, the lion. Put him up. A fish in my clothes. Here's where you'll be sleeping, Jennifer. My family has a thing against us cuddling, so not looking very much like a pleasant place here. When even your missile silos look like this, it's like, man, what the hell's going on around here? Are bombs coming? No? How long you guys want to hide here? 5 minutes, I guess, and then we'll abandon it? Now, they say that there is a strange race of creatures that have come to inhabit this place that only make themselves visible in broad daylight. They say things like, "Who disturbs my slumber?" I mean, it looks like a big middle finger if you ask me. Well, I'm not asking you, Jerry. Oh, God, the raptors got out. Oh, Mr. Arnold, is that you? Oh, thank God. Gentlemen, how dare you leave your soldiers unfinished? Finish what you started. All right. Just do a little bit like this. Here's his little torso. And, it's kind of what you do here with this little... There's my little soldier guy. Yes, sir. Well done. How about the rest of them? Oh, God, really? So we can do a bang-up jump here. We ain't got no time. And the presto. I drink milk. What happened to your hat, dude? A soldier never removes his hat. That's better. No, really, this is weird-ass art. I didn't do this. I can't take credit for this. The soldiers did it, I guess. Get ready to draw, boy. I got me some Coors soap. 1, 2, 3, drank. And that was the day that they said Private Johnson's head grew 3 sizes. I could while away the hours conversing with the flowers if I only had a brain. I'd be evil, I'd be crafty, I'd be awful, I'd be nasty if I only had a brain. Fix your buttons. Sometimes I really do believe I'm a child. Well, here at the missile silo that we're not surveying, they're obsessed with Coors Light, apparently, and massive feet. Wake me up as modified footgear, Mr. Cool. This is a strange sense of humor, I think, if they're trying to be funny. Oh my God. It's like Back to the Future. They're disappearing. What happened to your Johnson, Private Johnson? Low-profile minis. That sounds like some sort of arts and crafts. I thought y'all said we was shooting missiles. And I suddenly realized I've given you 0 information about anything. And that just won't do. Like I said, prepare yourself for a dry batch. Mount Gleason. Yep, that's the spot. That's the spot that I'll be skipping and not telling you about. Who wore it best? Actually, it's still there. The reason I'm skipping this is because, well, A, it's boring, and B, it's from the 40s. This is when they built these sort of guided missile programs. Now, they never really used very many of them, but the threat was there. The threat was there. This is a bridge that we talked about. Basically, what you got here, and I can't find the data on it right now, so just gonna take my word for it. This here bridge here, this tall, winding, old world bit of majesty, we are told, is no longer in use. It's been replaced, and it's been replaced by the little one underneath it, that one, which is kind of funny. I mean, this is amazing up here, and these elegant columns, these big sweeping spans, and they're replaced by this one. Now, they left this in, they say for historical integrity or whatever, but they probably just can't really destroy it too easily, I would imagine. I mean, the thing is massive. And apparently, it took them longer to put this little bit in than this one. That's my understanding of the situation. Now, wherever this is just simply gorgeous. And this old world type stuff, if they were doing this, then it's very possible they did the Golden Gate Bridge. But I don't believe the narrative surrounding this one. I think I covered it. I can't remember. But if not, I'll circle back like Jen, what's her name? A little weirdo used to work for the current Commander-in-Chief. Here, we're back at the Gleason missile silo with Alfalfa. Finish what you started. And the rest of the gang. Been here, done that. Now, this is another reason why this one's particularly dry, and I'm going to have to skip through it, and it's these fairies. I mean, not the dudes working on them. These ships, these old world, I'm sure they're really dope in their own right. This is about buildings, damn it. I guess maybe they built those. Building? Does it have to be can a ship be a building? I mean, it is built, but this is a fancy guy. I mean, this is dope. I haven't been on too many ships, but this is where the scurvy winches are kept, no doubt. I don't really have any insight on this. Kind of tore through it pretty fast, and I'm just giving you. I'm only bringing it to your attention just so you know this is what I'm skipping. How about that? You don't like it? Take it up with the manager. Yo, guess what, B? I am the manager. You're done here. Take your stupid documents. Get the fuck out of here, right? This site is another site of extreme depression that we're going to skip, simply because it's not that old. But this is basically an internment camp for the unfortunate Japanese citizens who lived in America during the time of FDR, the overexalted and oh my god, FDR is so amazing. Really, what a piece of trash. And yeah, you quote me on that, dude. I don't see another president locking up thousands of American citizens. But anyhow, this is what's left of it. And even this is too much for my standards. It's a dark time in American history that we never talk about. And actually, most people don't even really know about it. And this, you're being hypnotized. Oh, just look at my pumpkins. They're doing terrible. The late frost really got them. The sun go down underneath the sky. Actually, I know what it says. If you want to know what the little poem says, it's a little tragic. When the golden sun has sunk beyond the desert horizon and darkness follow, under a dim light casting my lonesome heart. No lie, I like that poem. Well done. Under a dim light, casting my lonesome heart. Sounds like a Hank Williams song. Sometimes I feel like I'm under the bridge. And here's a very informative shot. This here would be the Sacramento Bridge, if I got my bearings right. Well, it's a river bridge, and I suppose it's mildly interesting for multiple reasons. A, amazing feat of engineering. I mean, look at this fucking thing. See, there was a bridge here already, and it was the Tower Bridge. I'm sorry, it was a street bridge. Then they built this Tower Bridge in 1934 to replace it. The original bridge was built in 1911 by the Northern Electric Railway, and it linked San Francisco Bay Area with Chico, so people could go check out Sierra Nevada as a brewery in the future. By the 30s, though, 20 years later, traffic volumes were too much. So there was legislation that was enabled that made it legal for the state to enter agreements with railroad companies. So California and Sacramento and the county, they signed an agreement. So the railroad gave up all the rights to the old bridge in return for the right to operate a rail line over the new bridge. This bridge is interesting because it's got this weird little mix of like sort of these old world shapes and very old world sort of concrete look. However, they claim, well, through 1934 we're assured, the design work of the new bridge proceeded under the meticulous guidance of project architect Alfred W. Eichler, who was born in Shadyside, Missouri. His family moved to San Francisco, as you knew this was coming, where Alfred eventually studied at St. Ignatius College, with later work at the Beaux Arts Institute of Design, of course. Now, this guy actually became the California State Architect in 1925, and he was that position for 38 years, so I do believe he existed. They started working on this bridge in July 20th, 1934. July 20th, 1934. They finished February 1935. They built all this, installed this machinery, everything here that you see here, all this boiler room, all this old steampunk doomsday device looking technology, and this tower, and all of this in 1 year. What in the actual F is that? And here's actual photographs of them doing such a thing. In case you were being skeptical, which I would never be, because I'm not. I believe our ancestors, and I believe that all governments tell the truth everywhere. Period. And so this is a photograph of what happened. And so is this. Not an artist rendition. This is real. This is like as real as wrestling. Look at that detail. These are the actual architectural blueprints, by the way. This is what they were working off of. they had nothing more professional than this. It's amazing they got anything done, really. And Henry was flummoxed. Well, where were the traffic lights? Where was everyone for that matter? All right, guys. We're gonna put the dog in the middle of the crosswalk, right? You're gonna call his name, and I'm gonna call his name. And whichever one he goes to, he loves more. Let the competition begin. I know he looks like a camel. It was a camel dog. What do you know? You went there. Yep, quite the bit of machinery there. And right, it's just hard to wrap your mind around, what exactly these people did. I mean, did they really pour all this concrete? Driving the little car up to the end, dumping it out again and again and again and again. See, here they are. They got the little whatchamashwama. Well, rather than speculate, I'll tell you exactly what the fuck they did. The easiest way to be interesting is to be interested. So yeah, put that in your pipe and struggle to find the lighter. I would say smoke it, but struggling to find your lighter seems to be what I do more often. So maybe you're like me. I don't know. I mean, you are here, right? Well, then you do it. Now, really, I don't want to spend too much time on this bridge because there's a place in here. Oh, here you go. Here's some workers. Give you an idea of what they claim they did in the year. So they removed the old bridge. They started erecting the false work for the new bridge in March of 35. In June, they were lifting it up. By September, it was in position. They claim the buttresses are on reinforced concrete piers. They apparently had to remove the trolley wire. And actually, I don't see the part I read about the construction, which was just fucking ludicrous. You know, basically they're taking this concrete little mixer and these little cars. They built a little train track that would just go up to here, and they're pouring the concrete for it. I mean, the size of these, how much concrete? I mean, just so many loads and loads and loads and loads and loads. It's just, I mean, who knows what the hell these pictures are? Maybe they did do it. It wasn't like the 20s, the 30s. I guess it's possible, but in a year's time, I just don't see how that's possible. And I recognize this or pounding the piers into the ground, but well, anyway, you can make up your own mind about what you think. If these guys are really doing what they're doing. I mean, what are they doing? One of the funnier moments is they're talking about how these guys filled up concrete in little teapots and went running around filling around the blocks with teapots. I mean, these look legit. But now after what we've been talking about, I mean, who the hell knows what's legit? This seems to be better documented than most. I'll give them that. But I just don't even know how it's possible to do this in a year, really. I really don't. And who built the original bridge that was here? I mean, it feels like there's just something else going on here. I can't quite put my finger on it. But again, really, I'm not really looking because this is not part of the tour that I'm conducting. I'm conducting a building tour, okay? See, when you see it like this, it's like, what the fuck is this? Is that a crane? How does a crane work like that? Like, I thought a crane had to have like a counterweight, not just like be just a bendy piece of... Maybe I don't understand what they are. Maybe I don't. Maybe I just don't get it, okay? Maybe I'm too stupid. This picture does not look right. Photoshopped or something. Is he making a barrel there? And the scale on some of this stuff just seems way wrong. These guys compared to this boat, I just don't know. Is that guy really straddling the thing? Just looks like such a messy ass workplace. Who does that? I want to stagger around in the rubble over here. Safety first, though. This whole operation just looks sketchier than hell. But maybe that's for you to decide. That is one big fucking bike chain. Don't bother rolling up your pant leg. This is the orange Packer warehouse something. And you can tell right off the bat, if you have trained eye, these old world sort of Second Empire look to the building. Now, obviously, it's been repurposed, industrialized, brutalized, uglified, tarnished, and misshapen by the cold, cruel hands of the unforgiving industrial robber barons what run this world. Here's your sign. Here's that old building that Mr. Frost sold to some other jerk-off for $3,000. And there used to be a brewery. They specialized in several beers that were very uncreatively named, and I can't speak for the flavor. But if y'all would send me a sample, I'd gladly do an honest review. I just love the taste of, what's it called again? Malt tonic and or select brew. They have quenched my thirst and provided me with the refreshment I needed to get through the day. Flawless execution. See, I've been practicing. So in case somebody's got a can of that old beer lying around from 60 or 70 years ago, I'll be willing to give it a shot. Here we are, back at the old Alcatraz Island. Dystopian, bereft of all hope, smashed, torn asunder, sapped, and thenceforth reduced to a pile of orts when compared to its prior. Now then, whatever happened to Alcatraz, I just don't know. Now, according to the survey here, there was a point in time when San Francisco's Alcatraz Island was taken hostage, along with 81 tourists by an ex-Marine general who, for years, had been protesting the government's refusal to pay benefits to families of war veterans who died during these covert military operations. And after his wife died, this drove him over the edge. And so he's holding these hostages in order to get his point across. He stole some warheads, and he was announcing he was going to launch them onto San Francisco unless his demands are met. Then a gentleman named Stanley Goodspeed was recruited to disarm these bombs, and he teams up with British intelligence agent John Patrick Mason, who was in prison for the past 30 years without a trial because he was accused of stealing the private files of J. Edgar Hoover. And in '62, John was the only inmate ever that escaped from Alcatraz, and he, despite his hatred of the FBI, he agrees to help Stanley, who's played by Nicolas Cage. And when they are sent into Alcatraz with the Navy SEAL team, the whole team gets killed by General Hummel. It was also starring Sean Connery. And actually, that wasn't in the survey. There was a movie called The Rock, released in 1996. Decent movie. I've never seen it. All I remember is the preview where they're handling what appears to be some sort of deadly flubber. Rated R. The real true story of Alcatraz is one that's much more lame. No, I'm just kidding. Right after California becomes a state, the Army actually took control of it. And, there's been times when I have been slightly suspicious that Alcatraz is, in fact, something akin to a star fort. Whether or not that is true remains to be seen. But it does share some of the same sort of shapes, if you see what I mean. Now, not all of these alleged so-called star forts are indeed star forts, and they come in different shapes and sizes, so it's almost a misnomer. It's not as bad as Bastion Fort, but I'm thinking we should change terminology here and come up with something else that's a little more all-encompassing. Anyway, this bit of rock here was apparently in 1859, the military was already all up in this BA. They were drooling over the defensive capabilities, you can imagine. Let's check the other Google Earth. The one that's supposed to be and used to be crappier, but is now actually better. The old bait and switch. I know what you're up to, Google, you bastards. Just kidding, I love your platforms. Build bridges, not borders. Whatever they say. And yeah, look at that. It's much cleaner. Weird. Weird the way they swapped that out. The old downloadable Google Earth used to be much better. Now, this one's clearly better. My God. Anyway, once the military presence was established, they used it as a security station and a jail. Even at the start of the Civil War, they were convicting people of anti-union stuff and sending them federal prisoners here. And they had a number of people here throughout the Civil War. By 1870, the Army no longer really needed it, and it was basically a jail. Then, during the Spanish-American War, there was a population burst in the jail. And a lot of this is really sketchy. I mean, you can lock people up here. California been a state for like a day? I don't know. Apparently there's a basement in here. There's a boathouse. There is, or was, all kinds of stuff. But anyway, like nothing survived except for this light bulb. Take everything. Burn everything. Spare the light bulbs. They didn't harm anyone. Some more old world boats that I'm sure have storied and riveting adventures. The escutcheon here. The mooring hawser. These rat lines. Perhaps this is the barge master himself. Or maybe just a member of the afterguard. Hard to say. This is the Pier 42 bulkhead, built in 1918. Significant as an example of large-scale commercial Mediterranean-style architecture, which is, I'm sure, what you were going to say, right when you saw it. A bunch of these were built between 1910 and 1920, allegedly, in various styles that come to be known as neoclassical, mission revival, or Mediterranean. Cement, plaster, and a brick base. Now this here is supposed to portray the grandeur associated with the 1915 Panama Pacific Exposition in San Francisco that happened just a few years prior. But the building's supposed to serve as a screen, an architectural stave prop, so to speak, so to prevent passers-by from coming into intimate contact with the industrial activities taking place on the piers. You know, the general public tend to have a strong, overwhelming desire to run up and start twerking on any construction worker for the gram. That's what this says in the survey here. You don't believe me? You do it. You read it. You paraphrase it. Ooh. Your mom's open? I heard that, Jimmy. What a nifty little building. This sort of campanulate, like galliated sort of look. One might almost say it has a mammiform appearance. Yes. Yes, one might indeed. Not me, but some other people might. Some low-class people. Yeah, look at all these dandy brats sitting around. Howbeit, we must move on. To anything like me, I find this material to be rather mundane. This is La Fevre House. The Fevre House? Fevre. I don't know how to say it. Regardless, it's of a high degree of architectural integrity, we are told. Coupled with the mature period of landscaping, it's a colonial revival style house. The house rests over a basement. To point out the fact that these motherfuckers didn't even make their bed. They knew we was coming. How rude. Wait. Is it just me or is this plant presenting like a globe in its hand? It's like, behold, you may have this globe. Nobody puts Teddy in the corner and lives to tell about it. You heathens. Get me out of this disgusting place. I wanted to set the tone for you here, to explain why I brought this house into the equation. You know the court ordered? Because this is how they put it. This house will be impacted by the instruction of State Route 85, the West Valley Transportation Corridor, blah, blah, blah. Basically, they move these houses because they're in the way of progress. Just look at that floor. Just look at all that brick. Just look at that lady peeking in. What's she doing? She's counting? Are you playing kick the can or something? Nobody told me. 1, 2, apple, peaches, pumpkin pie. He's not ready. All right. Hold up, Jimmy. You didn't say I. Now look at that original doorknob. A Second Empire doorknob. Look at that sexy beast. I'll take more of that, please. I'll take all you got. There's my go-kart, the one I won the competition with, or at least I would have, except Peter cheated. I love these little medallions. Yeah. And there's another fireplace monster. Ha ha ha. Oh, we got more. The hardware. It calls to me. How much you want for the doorknob, Jimmy? Hey, Mr. Wonka, how much do you want for the doorknob? It's not for sale. What a cool house, though. Man, I just love them doorknobs. They just make me feel all tingly inside and all that. Dude, that's the makeout mattress, bro. And what have we here? These are interesting blocks. Not looking very natural. Looking more like whatever was here just got blown to smithereens and reconstructed. Probably is what happened. The hell are they doing here? Oh no. This is the one that some truck with a train ran into it. Damn it, who took the rungs out the top of my damn ladder? The hell am I even looking at? Release the doors. Let the gladiators enter the arena. Jimmy, fix the fucking thing. God, you're such a butt. Check the levels, Jim. You check the levels. Here's the thing, I don't remember. Something about starboard, port, and starboard. Why did I even put these boats in here? I'll tell you why. You know, you guys aren't even far. Look at that. I thought we were sailing all far, dude. Hanging out in the cabin all day, dude. And I come out here and we're just right there. Ugh. That is a strange use of counter space. Oh, maybe that's a toilet. I bet that is a toilet. A toilet with a cup holder. The chain locker. I mean, that's what I would have guessed. Dude, just looking at that kind of makes me seasick. Look at these gnomes. Are they barefoot? Damn it, Heidi, put some shoes on. You're gonna get splinter. What's our cargo? Escargot? Genius. She rides low in the water as if she's got a hole full of bricks. Still, it's nothing Hercules can't handle. Lower the gangplank, Jimmy. Meh, meh. She's tilting hot to starboard. As long as you got your lucky manhole cover. What the hell just happened? Come on, skipper. Who are these guys? Are you the crew? Oh, kinda wish I didn't see you now. Lost a bit of confidence in the old excursion, have I? Look at this guy. Meep. I'm your autopilot. Well, fuck. Can't remember if I was supposed to put on 4 or 7. We made it! Look, it's Christmas! It looks like the bread that I left in the freezer for 3 years. Money shot. Reminds me of that old Popeye movie where olive oil is stuck in the thing. Those cars are dope. What are we even doing here? Like, what is this? This is no building survey. Mildred, do you need my ID? This is a ferry for sure. Only ferries have these pews in them. I took a ferry once. Had a pew in it. That's how I know. You seen one ferry? You seen them all? Yeah, that's what I tell myself. Dude, I'm trying to get through these fast, but yeah, I know I should have done it earlier, okay? I should have gone through these earlier and separated them, okay? Get off my butt! All these big, majestic boats and then, somebody lose a drawer handle? That'd be mine. Get your dirty grit beaters off it. I thought I'd do is blew in the line of blow. Hit the bong, Peter. Actually, it's a zong, Richie. I told you 3 times. Well, do you like it? Alright, I'll show it to you, but you can't touch it. It's my own. One thing you could say for certain about Miss Wilson is she fired her lawn guy. I heard that. You were meant to. Laura, you haven't even used the toaster oven? It's still in the plastic wrap. Mom, Jimmy hung on the hoop and made it all crooked. I know what you're doing. You're waiting for it to come alive, aren't you? Yeah, well, I'm over that stuff. Just kidding. Blah, 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 blah. Now, with all due respect, these houses are rather dumpy. It's not so much that you have excess of termites, it's more like you have a lack of wood. Do you mind if I have a look in your shed? I do mind. All right, fucking hoarder. Good idea keeping this old chair here. It'll come in handy for sure next time you want to fall through something uncomfortably. Well, it was supposed to be an octopus, but its tentacles are all stiff. Who are you? What are you doing here? I don't know. I was on the American Survey, and I suddenly ended up on your guys' land. And I had to take a crap, and then I walked over there, and the guy in the trailer came out and shoved me in the road. And I fell down, and I said, look, you guys probably are saying this. You have a broken cross in your yard. Just let me pass. And you're like, no. So I tried to break across the highway, and I made it to the grape field, and I got on my hang glider, and suddenly I was up in the air, dude. I saw a fire lookout tower, and then I landed, and I was like, what's going on here? I went inside. It was a sink, and there was some sort of tape recorder that I plugged in. He was running weird experiments. So I got back in my hang glider, and I came down when I saw this helicopter made of candy canes. Okay? We bust out a map, and then that was it. End of the survey. No, I don't want to go back through it. That shit sucked. I gotta do it anyway, huh? Well, what is all this? This is a canal for the ages. This is Narnian technology. What happened? What the hell's going on over there? Now over here. Like, really, what is this? What are they doing here? Looks like a weird Star Trek set or something. I don't trust it. What a man can do, what a man can't do. What a man can do is find little faces everywhere. Like this little skeleton guy. You see him? What he's doing? He's got one hand here, bony arm on this, and he's cranking it. These are his long white dreadlocks. He's hunched over, he's got a beanie on. And he's like, that's his mouth, and he's like, yeah, let's go, boys. But his legs are up in the air, and he's not very effective. The end. What's in the box, Brad? My binoculars again. Just look at that city. What a bunch of strange creatures. You got this guy. Burr, 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 burr. I mean, it's a dispenser of some sort. How about you dispense with these dumb questions? Hope you learned something today. I know I didn't. I learned this guy's weird. I learned that sometimes workmen like to play dice on the job. I learned that radios like to live alone. They used to be like a Starford or something or what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna squeeze one out on you. Knock it off, Bader. Sure as I can take these when I go. Maybe I'll distract the realtor. Home on the range. The Wild Wild West. And what is this? This looks like a dinosaur. Wait, let me explain. Eye, nostril, rather sinister looking mouth here. You see it? And he's noticed me. He's turning around. Flathead. Oh my god, it's a flatheterodon. He's got bird feathers. That's what these are. They're feathers. Oh my god. He's a birdoctodon. The rest of his wings here. He's sitting down. See, he's like a little leg here. Maybe he's got some eggs. Ah! He's kind of missing something though. Not that. What the fuck I do? Anyway, we're leaving the flatheterodon behind. Check out this power plant. What are you guys up to? What? Who are you? Well, I'm your king. Well, I did for you. What are you guys up to? Shh, bro. Be quiet.
You know, I just can't help but wonder when I see things like this. This line right here in the rocks. 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 These things. That they just don't seem natural. I mean, this looks like a fragment of a wall. Now, I don't know that it is. And furthermore, no one else does either. I'm sure there's some guy can tell you, well, actually, millions and billions of years ago, there's a pressure in there, and all these variables. It's like, well, how do you know that? Do we know anyone that's 1,000,000 years old? Or anything that's provably 1,000,000 years old? No. So, I mean, let's knock off the charade. You can guess. Okay, your guess is as good as mine. And I'm sure that sometimes cracks form that are perfectly straight. But I'm going to assume that that is the more uncommon shape for a crack. So yeah, I think that this was all one very ancient stone wall that was blown up or just destroyed through some other force, earthquake, or maybe just some massive flood, or I don't know, a landslide. Who knows? That's what it looks like to me anyway. Maybe it was an old bridge. Now they got to just cobble together this little thing. Maybe it is millions of years old, and maybe it was a bridge 1,000,000 years ago, and not just rocks. How do you guys know? Nobody knows. Do they, guys? No, they don't. What's there dinosaurs everywhere? Well, that's because dinosaurs only exist inside of your imagination, says the dinosaur. Yeah, whatever. Hi, Dino. Bye. I'll miss you. There's always next summer. Sigh. Look at that right there. Just look at it. That perfect right angle. Yish. Something's going on here. There I was, wandering through the forest, and to my wonder and surprise, boom! A fantastic piece of machinery. What does it all mean? And behold, more ruins. Ancient ruins? No, you fool. This here is California. Everything's new. This is probably like a Mervin's or something. Maybe a Smitty's. Yes, you know what? It was a Smitty's, because I see this right here. Yes, Smitty's has those. Let's move on. I know what these places are. Not because I'm cool or knowledgeable, or I'm not. I just happen to read these documents, of which there are millions. Just see this place. If a tree ever came in here, they'd react like that one scene in Harry and the Hendersons where Harry sees like he opens up the closet and there's all the animal heads. Well, if I ever had a tree over for dinner, they walk in this room, they would be very disturbed at the amount of paper. So I'm sorry, Tree Harry, in advance. I really am. I tried to hide it all. But really, it's kind of what you get for opening someone's coat closet unprovoked. That's what I got from that scene. Really, there's a lot of lessons to be learned in Harry and the Hendersons, right? Hey, we'll stop and take a look at this. Mine. And this here is the Mountain King Gold Mine. Well, what's left of it anyway. The small company town of Hudson rose and fell with this ambitious venture, where we are told that this mine and mill are in the patented Mountain King lode claim, where original prospecting operations undoubtedly began. The first work of substance was done by the Womble brothers. More brothers. In the 1890s. The Womble brothers erected a mill. One can't help but go back to this part and think that this was once a castle, and the nearby mine might just be where the treasure was buried, in the basement. That's what they're claiming. These mines, they're digging shafts into old buried treasure. Melt that shit down. I don't know. Something weird about it, though. In any case, they had it all, man. These King gold miners. The Womble brothers were eventually bought out in 1909 by Bobby Parks, or as he prefers to go by, Robert B. Parks. But those who know him intimately, after he died, like I do, know him as good old Bobby. That's Bob B, by the way. He doesn't like Bobby. Bob B, though, is okay. Well, this place was bought and sold by a few different companies over the years. One called the Jumbo Company, which is a remarkably stupid name. Another point of interest in this is, and I don't make this up, at the conclusion of World War II, the Mountain King Mill, before this had been converted into copper. After World War II, it was converted back to gold under the management of Harry Bush. Former superintendent of North Keystone Mine. I don't know whether to laugh or just run to the closest living thing and kill it. I hate that name so much. I'm done reading about that mine. Let's see what's going on in here. And here is one of the world's first surfboards. You can see on the right here. Oh, what is that? Little Shelby Cobra or something? A sweet little ride. All right, we know what goes on here. All right, Lisa, your time's up. You can come down now if you promise to behave. Well, that's curious. I gotta put you on hold real quick.
Huntington Beach beer, he said, as if they were old friends. Well, if the relationship between Huntington Beach Pier and I were to be defined in sort of human terms, it would be described as being, well, criminal for one, but the other would be rather creepy. I'd be the creep, you see. I've read all about Huntington Beach beer. I've looked at pictures of it. Late night, by candlelight. Pictures. Over and over, I read everything I could get my dirty hands on. I imagined what it was like, being near it, and on it, and around it. I imagined how it was built. Its early days, from whence it came, and I wondered what it was doing now. And if Huntington Beach were be of the female variety, well, she should be forewarned. But it's not a woman. It's just a pier, guys. Chill out. But not just any pier. No. A pier with some significance, at least that's what we are told. Now, the present structure reflects several modifications made to it since it was constructed in 1913. And in 1930, it was extended and Art Deco style recreation buildings were constructed on the deck. There were extensions and reconstructions and additions and yata-ta-ta. There are 6 buildings on the pier, an eatery, another eatery, a bait and tackle shop, a pump house, a lifeguard tower, and the water closets. Most of them, the eateries that is, having cute themes like Captain's Galley, Neptune's Locker, the Tackle Box, that sort of thing. After 1988, the pier was closed to public access, and 4 of the buildings have been vacant. The city uses the lifeguard tower and the pump house. This documentation treats the buildings on the pier as components of the main structure, rather than as individual structures of a complex, because the surveyor was extraordinarily lazy. The last part was mine. So despite telling us that they were added later, they are not different. So, in your face. That's at least like 10 pages of paper we saved. The percentage of intact historical fabric has been estimated at between 75 and 84%. Not 85, but 75 and 84. About 3/5 of the extensions were destroyed, then reconstructed. Virtually nothing remains of the wooden extensions. So that's what's going on with it currently. It was designed by Ernest Rothenberg at a cost of about $70,000, which is about, $2.5 million by today's standards, or more. At the time the pier was built, it was considered to be Rothenberg's most significant work. Why, a 1929 engineer's report noted that there was no recorded information available to the daily construction progress. The local historian, and adequately named Delbert Higgins, however, has written that forms were laid out for making the pilings along Ocean Avenue at the foot of the pier, and filled with concrete, and left to cure, and snaked out and jetted down about 30 feet deep, said Mr. Higgins, from the shore end to the stiffening bent. Not sure what that means, but I like the way it reads. It goes on and on about reinforced concrete. It was probably written by John Leonard, for all we know. And on and on and on. About the construction, about the pilings, and really marginally interesting stuff. As always, it seems in these reports that they are deconstructing it. Rather than writing these things before they're installing them, they're almost taking them apart, or as they're refurbishing them or reconstructing them, since these documents are always so much later. It seems to me, as they're making revisions, they are detailing how it was constructed. And as a matter of fact, this survey itself, they offer grants for people still, currently, for people in various architectural school programs to pick historical sites and go back in and do these charts and do these painstaking breakdowns of each component. So, rather than serve as proof that they built these documentations tell you right here, well, no records exist, but we'll do this one in the 80s here as we take it down and take it apart. I mean, they're not even trying to hide that fact. To those who have ears, let him hear. Except for you kids. You guys can cover your ears for this stuff. I'm dropping F-bombs over here, that's why. Frick. Now, where were we? Oh, that's right. Now, this is a bit interesting. For the first time that I can recall, this engineering record borrows pictures from sort of mainstream newspapers, because suddenly you have these scenes at the beach. And there have been people that have looked at these before on videos I've seen and questioned them, as they should. These are patently ridiculous. I mean, this pier is all but empty, and so much just seems so staged. And they're all wearing the same clothes. I mean, not just the same clothes. I mean, not only are they all wearing the same outfit, but they're all wearing, which is, I guess, common for that brief period of time, but also they're all wearing that same outfit on the beach, which is just bizarre. Much has been made of these, and I've seen some great videos on them. It really head on. And I wasn't trying to even redo that. I don't know why they're in the survey. I really don't. And what is that? Is that an octopus down there, like chasing a little kid? Dude, if you lost your mom in this crowd as a kid or dad, you would be. I mean, they all look the same.
I'm missing my mom. Somebody help me.
All right, calm down. What's she got on?
Well, she's got on the same thing you do.
All right, what about your dad?
Well, he's got a hat.
What kind of hat?
Same hat everyone has.
In that case, we'll look for the most panicked hat wearer. Tough time for Amber Alerts back then, I tell you. Interesting little bit of sunkenness here. I'm sure that was deliberate, right? The artist chose to just embed the 1914 in the earth like that.
Well, yes, actually, it's symbolic of.
Stop, we know what it's symbolic of.
Oh. Now you see, I told you. Look it.
This must have been the storm damage it. And they just decided to call it quits. But birds are allowed to hang out there still. I mean, I guess birds are allowed to hang out. They're just not humans, huh? Oh, just the birds, huh? Wow, okay. I didn't realize it was like that. Very discriminatory. Huntington biatch. And here is the racks that once held hot pastries, never to be seen again. Sigh. And really, it is kind of sad. Oh, wow. So yeah, I always call these types of buildings candle top building because they often look like they have wax, like they could be birthday candles. But this is poop. That is not wax. I'm going on break. These guys are funny. All the way to the top, do we get a little whoop? Where's the restroom, mister? Right through that door. What? Another door? Tricky. The old tackle box. Wonder why they decided not to repair it, you know? I mean, if it was so easy to do in 1913 and so cheap, I mean, why not now? It'd be really hard not to break your mother's back here, you know what I'm saying? If you weren't careful. This concrete has seen better days. You wonder what it was initially, huh? I mean, maybe it was the same thing. Maybe it was just an entertainment, you know, just a pier. I wish we could if only we could ask it. Huh? Hi, can you tell us what it was like before you were whatever you are now? All right, sorry, buddy. I'm sorry for your loss, guy. But look, hey, I gotta go get a Coca-Cola since this thing's closed. Let's see, was it the 80s? A hot dog for $1.50 in 1988? Ice water 15 cents in California? What the frick did they do to this frickin' place? And this must be the only remaining open restroom to the public in California. Wow. Like I said, nowadays, they just don't even bother with this. You just go right here, or right here, or right here, right here, or anywhere, really. You can go right here if you could, I guess. And some people can, I'm told. This is where Paul Bunyan came in here drunk one night, screaming about how formidable his lumberjack skills were. And he attempted to showcase this, hacking away until Blue had to guide him off. Come on, Paul. Come on. Let's go to bed. Poor Paul. That is enticing. So, what do you think of Huntington Beach? I mean, cool pier, right? Too bad they didn't extend it. Here's a bridge over nowhere. Moving on to the Whittier Theater. As you can tell, not only is it fun and fancy-free, you can get drugs nearby. Now, that's the California that I know. Any way you look at it, though, this is a stupid thing to have at a theater. I mean, come on. For what purpose? to hold that sign. I'm pretty sure you can just do it with a lot less.
But sure, let's play along. The thing that strikes you right when you enter Whittier Theater is the strange little ghoul peeking over the box when you walk in.
Of course, that's on the side of the chair, so really you'd have to walk in with your eyes shut, make your way into one of the theaters themselves, and then look sideways as you crouch down for this to be the first thing you see when you walked in. But you know what I mean. You're always so damn literal. Sometimes I just want to not watch what I say, you know? Can I do that? Frack. I warned you this is going to be not a very good survey. Okay, so if you're still here, this is your fault. Your fault. Slated for demolition, this is, and demolished it was. But at the time, we're told, it was the largest and most elaborate movie theater in all of Whittier. It was significant as an example of a local architect's interpretation both of the prevailing trend towards grand-scale movie palace construction and of the enormous popularity of the Spanish colonial architectural style in Southern California in the early 20th century, where it seemed to be everywhere. People couldn't get enough of it. They loved the Spanish colonial style. They were all about the revival. That explains it. Not because it was built by people not from here. No, it was built by people from here who ran from sort of over there and brought the style with them. That's why they ran from that place over there, because they loved this place so much, and they loved that place as well, and they wanted them to meet in the middle, so they revived it. Of course, they didn't build the stuff over there in Spain either. That, of course, was built by old Spaniards, like very, very, very old. You know, this is just a revival of an old style that's not from here, but from somewhere else that they left to come here, because there sucked, and here was better. So to remind them of the suckier place, they borrowed the styles. It's not complicated. This was one of the few motion picture theaters that have incorporated atmospheric effects in the auditorium, lighting, simulated sunset, moving clouds, and a starlit sky, which didn't work for every movie, but for some, Tower was the local landmark, visible even from Interstate 605, more than a mile to the west. For decades, the theater and its adjacent shops were part of the cultural life, not only of Whittier, but of the adjoining local communities as well. And it would have been part of the culture of Africa had it been located there, but it wasn't. But if it had been given the chance, it would have been part of the culture forever. For decades, we're told. The theater also has a sad reflection. It reflects the national trend in family entertainment in between the era of vaudeville and silent films to talkies. The theater experienced its golden years in the decades of the 1930s and 40s, declining with the growing popularity of television, video rentals, and the idea that their tower looked stupid. Work was begun on January 2nd, 1929, and the whole thing was opened July 31st. Barely 6 months to put this bitch together. Designed by David Bushnell. At the time, there's a ranch house nearby. Some might say that this was built on the land that belonged to the ranch. The people that might say that might be the owner of the ranch, Mr. McNee. But he's a known liar, probably. In fact, the theater was so close to, and in fact on his land, it was actually called the McNees Theater by those who were in the know. And actually, it was actually owned by Ralph McNees. So that entire part of the survey was pointless. Now, the reason why this is even in the theater complex, which is, of course, why it's in this, is because they're about to tear it down. They tried everything. They tried Hispanic language movies. They tried showing vaudeville shows and movies at the same time. They were charging the cut rate of $1. However, the karate studio that moved next door, that took the place of the furniture store, well, that was the death blow. Then there was an 87 Whittier Narrows earthquake, which severely damaged the theater. And the city said, you must destroy this building. And so, the people did. Alas, the Whittier Theater is no longer with us. It was respectable, but not masterful. It was large and elaborate, but it was far from being one of the oldest in the area. And what is going on with the karate studio? Rude! You guys could at least demolish it so it didn't be profane. And what a cool theater, looking like other theaters that I've seen with this sort of crown jello molding thing on the top. Jim Richardson doesn't really scream karate to me, you know what I mean? You might want to change your name to like Ungai Wa. But I'll take career advice way too late for 500. It's always sad to see something like this. Torn curtains. And, was this part of the demolition or just, part of the softening up period? You know what I mean? The kind that's done by transients and vagrants and vandals. And after they soften you up, then the heavy hitters come in. Really hit the big time. They took the metronome. By God, they took everything. And surprise, surprise, look where we are. Back at Death Valley Ranch. Now, why are we back at Death Valley Ranch? I don't know. But we are. There must have been something that we missed. Interesting. Well, just like that, on page 29, I happened to flip to it. You see, earlier, when I was pretending to be mad at Jerry and I threw my documents at him, well, I just was forced to gather them back up. And right here on the top, on page 29, it's a sign, I swears to you. It says here,
something I had missed before. It says, tunnels. Another distinguishing attribute of the ranch is its network of underground tunnels. An attempt was made to link each of the individual buildings with 7-foot-high underground concrete passageways. A few were completed, while some simply came to a complete dead end. Construction of the tunnels was accomplished in phases. When a new building was nearing completion, excavation for a full underground passageway and all the necessary service would merely follow. Plans for a tunnel system were being discussed as early as February 1927. But the purchase of a steam-powered shovel in 1929 expedited matters tremendously. Still using steam-powered shovels to do this stuff. Other more fanciful accounts, meaning possibly true, that tried to explain the purpose of these tunnels purported that they were so the help could move from one building to the other without being seen, so emergency shelter could be achieved in case of an attack, for a hiding place for Scott's gold, and perhaps the very entrance to the secret mine Scott so often boasted he had. You know, maybe he's telling the truth, since the more I read about this guy, he's had a strange fixation with building this place out here in the middle of nowhere. Now, Johnson must have been familiar with the tunnel system of Chicago's downtown loop. Oh, yeah, sure. This, of course, probably provided him with the original inspiration for such a system at the ranch. Now we're going to talk about Chicago's subterranean network beginning in 1907. And they say 7 years later there were 62 miles of tunnel in Chicago. This isn't even about Chicago, and that story is bollocks. But perhaps, however, Johnson was taken with the idea and wished to have something similar for himself for no other reason than he liked the idea. Wow, what a profound statement. Mr. Historian, what a speculative guess. Abraham Lincoln delivered the speech, possibly and probably, because the reason was that he had no other reason but that he liked the idea. Stupid, do you think we are? We'll surprise you. In the late 20s, proposals to make Death Valley a component of the national park system were increasingly coming to the fore. On July 25th, President Herbert Hoover signed Executive Order 5408. This withdrew 2 million acres of land from the public domain. This land was as of yet uncharted. Mr. Albert Johnson was born in 1872 to a wealthy Quaker family in Ohio. His father was a wealthy banker with investments in railroads and quarries. At the ripe age of 20, Johnson entered Cornell and a degree in civil engineering. He engaged to Bessie Penniman, who had transferred from Stanford. All right? And they were married in Shadelands Ranch near Concord, California. So then Albert began to move to Oberlin, and Johnson started working with the Platform Binder Company. Later that year, he borrowed a sum of $40,000 to invest in mining operations. $40,000 at that time is $1.5 million. What kind of father just gives a guy $1.5 million to invest in mining operations in Missouri? That's crazy. But this guy gets a 500% return on his investment, of course. For a year, he worked with the Arkansas Midland Railway, a company his father owned. For another year, he was secretary and manager of the Stone Company, another company partially owned by his father. In 1899, him and his father were traveling through Utah, inspecting possibilities, and they were on a train that hit a train. I don't know how that happens, but apparently it does. And Albert was basically immobilized for 18 months. Didn't expect him to live past his 40th birthday. When a train hits a train, it seems to me like it's deliberate. I mean, come on. He was crippled for the rest of his life, walked slightly stooped over with a noticeable limp due to a baseball-sized callus. Unfortunate indeed. His wife, I can't find the page, but his wife, actually, was one of the first students at Stanford. Isn't that just a coincidence? Anyway, Death Valley Ranch. It's on a whole new meaning and color, doesn't it? Such cool control panels. Crazy. You know, what is this stuff out here? You know, this is the kind of stuff that you see all over rural America. Stuff like this. That would not be out of place in Ireland or some other place with a vast, rich history, we're told. But I mean, if it's visually indistinguishable, that's got to count for something. And especially when they tell us you can see erosion. Like, we've got buildings that are 100, 200 years old, and this is just insane. They call it a dam, yes, pump house, whatever, a powerhouse. But it looks to me very similar to what we call Stafford's, which, you know, I try not to use some of these catchphrases, not just for algorithm stuff, but just because they get so convoluted, like everything. And it's a problem that humans have in general, but then it's a problem that's also turned against us. And that is, you have its phrase, you have an idea about something. And actually, the word conspiracy theorist is actually perfect for that. It is the paragon example. A word that was created to lump people under, to label people under. And then you make that term vague and broad and encompassing lots of different things, and then you assign crap loads of negative characteristics to the term until it becomes somewhat meaningless. Like the old empire in Asia, you know what I'm talking about. You can't even use that word anymore. Or people they feel like if they have to sign on to believing in things like Star Forts, that they have to take the whole thing. They have to take all the free energy stuff. They have to take all the giants. They have to take all the theories and just they're all true if they even just believe in one thing.
Well, I'm not the only one, but I'm the one here today telling you this. No, you do not. They're just terms. Words are just words. They're just labels for things. There are so many great ideas this community comes up with. There are so many amazing insights. There are some very fanciful ones. I enjoy thinking about them. I enjoy musing about them. I do not enjoy being told that they are true, for certain. Now, I'm sure that during these times when I'm rambling things, I've said things like, it's got to be this, or for sure this is that, and for sure. And I try to be mindful about adding, into my mind or in the way I'm looking at it right now. I try to add those things as they come, but let me just say, and I don't know. I have no idea. Some ideas resonate within me and they feel really good. They seem possible. Some seem too good to be true. Some seem plausible, but I don't know. I'm trying to figure things out from the same place, in the same era. I wasn't born hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago, and no one else was either. And I think it's important that we keep that sense of ignorance. Ignorance is a bad word for it. It's important that we keep that sense we engage with the world the way. Picture Charlie Bucket in the chocolate factory. He's just astonished by everything. That open-mouthed smile. That is admirable way to approach these subjects, in my mind, because we don't know. What we do know is that people lie. We do know that certain control groups lie. And so those two things combined are the heart and soul of it all. Considering the source, well, this lies, so that's out. And besides, all this stuff looks different than what the liars tell you. So it's something else. We may be totally onto it. We may be off the mark entirely. I don't think it matters. I don't think it's going to matter in a few years. In a few years, AI is going to be so unleashed, you will show someone the photograph and say, look at it, what Chicago looked like a few years ago. And they're going to say, that's bullshit. That's AI, dude. Don't fall for that. And with records purged and buildings demolished, it's going to be real difficult to prove anything to anyone. And that is across the board. It's important that we take things from official sources right now, archive them, do whatever you got to do. It's important that we're able to show things. One thing that will be devastating is if the Wayback Machine ended up being actually controlled by the opposition. I don't know anything about that archive, but I am wary of it because it's run by archive.org and there's some great stuff on there. And there is some things that are always pushed to the forefront that I don't believe are popular opinion. I feel like they are. Now, maybe it's independent users pushing certain things to the front, like CIA sort of infected. I don't know. It's user-based. It's possible. I don't know, but it's something to be wary of. I'd be curious if anyone knew anything more about that. Who it was run by, because if that thing were to go down, yeesh. Aside from people out here mirroring entire websites and saving copies of them on random servers, which they're out there, these data hoarder types, that's going to be important one day. And after a while, it's going to be too late, really, for a lot of people. Anyway, once their minds are going to be closed to stuff, they're going to be closed forever. So I don't want to turn people away by acting like y'all are stupid. This is what's really going on. It's easy to get excited about stuff and enthusiastic. It's very easy to cross that line and turn people off. So let it be known here today and for all days and for all time. I, WhisperJack, do not have clue one about what this world is, about where we are, about who built all these things, about what's real, about who's on what side. I don't know. I'm okay with that, okay? I am okay with not knowing everything. I'm okay with being wrong. It'd be a lot easier to be wrong. I think the important thing is that we realize we're being effed with, man, and to band together and sort through the truth together. Now, I think there are some people, I've heard some things that I personally do believe to be true. There are things that sometimes may even come out of my speech that betray that I do believe, but it's a bit of faith. Isn't everything? You can never have all the data. At some point, you are just guessing. I don't care if you're a doctor. I don't care if you're a detective. At some point, you're making a leap of faith. Now, you may think you have all the evidence that you need to make that leap of faith, okay? But you don't know for certain. The only ones that know for certain are either not here anymore or they're not talking. That's it. But to think that California, this state, this place that became a state after conquering a bunch of nothing desert lands from Mexico, or however it was obtained, and just being bum rushed by people who all were ignorant enough to do some of the things they did, and backwoodsy enough to be considered kind of simpletons in many ways. Yet at the same time, they were all insanely hard workers and had marvelous construction plans and means of carrying out intense projects. I mean, how many hundreds of bridges are there that are supposedly erected in these times? How many are there? Thousands? There's bridges over nothing. There's bridges where the bridges shouldn't even be. I mean, what is going on here? This looks like some sort of a flood situation. Great, my favorite door. Of course it would be that door. That's the one Margaret gave me. I mean, I don't know what's going on in here, but it looks like a place where you might feed Christians to lions. Just saying. I'm not saying that it is, just saying if I was going to feed Christians to lions, which I never would do, I'd do it there. Like the character of the governor from Walking Dead, he'd be salivating over a place like that. Wouldn't he, Fred? Now that I think about it, I should order that French dip. Damn. There's always tomorrow, Fred, until there isn't. And I don't know how California mixed up their engineering record with all this. You see, in Pennsylvania, I mixed it up myself, okay? But I'm not a professional. You guys are, okay? You guys are. And you did it on purpose, probably. Who knows what all this stuff? I don't know what background. You know what I think is happening here? Since we already covered this from the Historical American Building Survey side, now this is the American Engineering Record side, and they just didn't bother to disambiguate them, so now we got two surveys running concurrently and sometimes overlapping. That's what's happening. Dude, did I come at a bad time? Or, what is going on here? Cherry, you call this clean? Look at this little house is horrified. He's like, no, they fucking been dirt down my throat. Or he's puking all the dirt up. Nah, it's all going inside. This is where your mother used to park a van. Look, guys, I told you before, if you're gonna steal the drawers, all right, steal all of them. Don't make me go to the alley and dump these. Come on. It's not that. Like, I just don't want the family to be separated. I feel bad for them. I feel like they're going out of their way to make eyeballs for me to play with. Because I feel just like a child. Well, I feel just like a child. Oh, wow. He doesn't like my Da Vinci Banhart impersonation. Well, you know what, Window? Hold on. Turn the cameras off for this. Yeah. You like that? Yeah. Let's get out of here, dude. We're going to move on. We're going to say, you know what, part 16? You suck.